So, something a lot of us do when we are either in a relationship or we come out of a relationship that is toxic or unhealthy, we tend to blame ourselves. Why am I not good enough? What did I do to deserve this? You know, was it me? Is it something that I did? Now, there's always two people in the relationship. So, it's never just one person's fault. We do have to take responsibility in the relationship for things that go wrong, but, there are people, one person in the relationship that can cause things to happen that are, toxic and unhealthy that could, translate into, mental and emotional abuse. They're not just mistakes, they're actually, huge red flags. So you kind of have to determine, am I making mistakes? Am I doing things in the relationship that are contributing to problems? Or is this person actually, just a toxic individual in general? And are they just kind of mistreating you as a person, in order for some sort of gain? Unfortunately, we have these people that walk amongst us, and, more people than not tend to encounter somebody like this. But the interesting thing is when you do get out of it, when you put forth the effort to healing and, you educate yourself and you kind of go back and try to analyze things, when you get out of it, you're able to look at it differently because you're not investing so much emotion. You're using a more logical side because, when we're invested in someone, when we're in love with someone, it clouds our brain. We're not able to really make a logical assessment about it because we're so invested, our heart is in it. So I always say, in a healing process, even though it can be painful, it is important for you to go back and, evaluate certain parts of the relationship so that you can, learn going forward what to look for, patterns that you may have, certain attachment styles that you may have, so that you don't fall into another toxic and unhealthy relationship with a new person. So I always say that this is very vital in a healing process. So when you get to a point where you can educate yourself and you can kind of realize what happened, what went wrong, then you can have a more positive outlook moving forward, which will put you on a path, to meeting a healthy individual and being able to recognize, the difference between healthy and toxic. So the first thing I want to talk about, going back to blaming ourselves, like I said, take responsibility where there's responsibility to take. But, when you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did I deserve this? You didn't deserve it. And I'm going to explain why this did happen. So we know there's givers and we know there's takers. Well, just think of the taker as a hound dog. And sometimes we say things early on when we're dating and trying to get to know someone that a taker will recognize and actually look for because they know exactly what they're seeking out and they know what they're doing. So authentic, genuine people usually don't enter a relationship with skepticism. So when you've been through this sort of relationship, you've been through this sort of trauma, when you educate yourself, one of the most vital things that I learned moving forward is we unconsciously reveal way too much. Sometimes when we first meet someone, things that we exchange in casual conversation can actually attract takers to you. And you're being very transparent. They're seeing through you like a window. And we don't know that we're doing this when we are encountering these people, at least for the first time. But when you learn what to say in the beginning and what not to say, you can kind of protect yourself from attracting takers to you. So sometimes when I give this dating advice, I find people becoming frustrated because nobody wants to be on a date and, have to think about what to say and what not to say. And, well, I just want to be myself. Absolutely be yourself. I'm not telling you not to. But there are certain things that we say when we're oversharing too soon with someone. Sharing intimate details with someone too soon can cause vulnerability for yourself. And when you're showing vulnerability to somebody in the very early stages, you're actually giving them information that would be a tool to manipulate you. So I'm going to make another video on examples of, what you would say that could, make you a perfect candidate to manipulate. So going back, like I said, manipulators, takers, they have strategies. This isn't their first time. They know what works and they seek out specific people. So, all I can say on this video is, don't share intimate details of your life with somebody in the early stages of dating. Make sure that you have established trust, rapport with this person, and that you've spent enough time with them to really assess if you can trust them or not. And, when you do the healing and you go back out there, you should feel confident to be able to spot red flags, to spot takers, to spot manipulators, because you watch videos like this. Okay, so what kind of people are takers attracted to? Givers, right? So they usually seek out people who are very kind, people who are giving, the people that would, take their shirt off their back and give it to you. That's who they seek out. They see that you have a very pure heart. They see that you have honest intentions. And instead of, appreciating that and building you up and cherishing you, they do the exact opposite. So when you encounter a taker as a giver, they know the qualities that you possess. They're aware of just how awesome you actually are. So when you ask yourself, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do wrong? You actually didn't do anything wrong. In fact, if this was a job interview, you are the perfect candidate for the job, because takers will not form relationships with people like themselves. There's nothing to gain from someone like a taker because they're selfish. Everything has to be catered to them. They want to take someone and receive all the benefits without actually having any intentions of reciprocating that back to you. No, it's not fair. And yes, it's awful. And some people have more evil intentions than others. There's a difference between selfish people and very manipulative people who, some people have disorders, that a lot of people that do this have actual disorders that they don't know have. Because, if they were aware, they might think, well, I should seek treatment for this. I'm doing something terrible. But more than likely, they know that they're making bad choices either way, and they still continue to do it. But people with disorders, it's a fine line, because yes, they're making bad choices. Yes, they're an adult, but there's some brain chemistry there that's also causing them to make worse decisions than others without actually having the capability to feel guilty or have remorse like, a normal, healthy brain function should be in a relationship dynamic. So they seek out these wonderful people, these giving people, and they, at first they build you up. They do the love bombing. They want to put you on top of the world. Because even though we're attracting takers, we still have, we still have relationship expectations. A kind, giving person doesn't voluntarily enter a relationship with an abuser. So, they're listening to you when you tell them about your past experiences, your trauma. They're becoming this perfect person to, reel you in. Everything that you're telling them, they're listening to actually manipulate you with. They're molding themselves into the perfect person, everything that you never had and you want. And then, they do the building up, and then once they have you on top of the world, that is when they start tearing you down. So their whole objective, their whole plan is to, find the giver, build them up, build trust with the giver, make you fall in love with them, and then that's when they have you. Because what do we do when we're in love? We just totally lose all sense of intelligence, logical thinking. We're fools in love. That's a saying. So now that the abuse is starting, slowly at first, and then it gradually gets worse, now that they have you, they have to tear you down, because if they kept letting you know how wonderful you were while they were abusing you, it wouldn't make sense for the taker, because it's, they're bonding you, and then they want to. So the bond is usually what's referred to as a trauma bond. And so each time, they abuse you, it's not right. You hold them accountable for it. And at first, it's all, I'm so sorry, you're right, that was a terrible thing to do. They're very apologetic. Then they're on their best behavior for about a week or two. But this keeps happening throughout the relationship, and this is where the giver needs to start recognizing that. But it's very difficult for a person that's already trauma bonded to break that bond when they're still, being involved with the abuser, and they're still in the manipulation, because when you love somebody and they apologize to you, you want to believe them. You want to believe it's genuine. You want to believe that what they're saying is true and that they will change. So, however long you're in the abusive relationship, the deeper the trauma bond grows. And it's harder to break the longer you allow it to go on. And I do say allow, because this is when we have to take accountability. Because when you realize this is happening and you continue to take that person back over and over again, you are allowing them to treat you that way. Either way. I mean, you do know that it's wrong. You do know that it doesn't feel right. You do know that this is not how love should feel. So the abuser has full leverage. The ball is always in their court, because you're not establishing boundaries. You're not putting your foot down. You're letting them know that no matter what they do, you will always take them back. You're loving them unconditionally. So their whole strategy is to, keep you being awesome, keep being apologetic, keep you bonded, and ripping apart your self-esteem so that they still know how awesome you are, but now you feel like you're not awesome. Your self-worth is depleted, and that's exactly where they want you, because if they kept you on top of the world like they did in the beginning, you would become very self-aware, and through the abuse you would be like, I don't need this, I deserve better. So that's their whole goal. So it's not so much, what am I doing wrong, what did I do to deserve this? You feel worthless. You're not worthless. You're very, very valuable to the taker. So they know that if they let you know that you would leave. and they don't want to lose their benefits that they're reaping from you. They don't want to lose your unconditional love. They don't want to lose your kindness. You know, you're still going to be this great person, but on the inside, you don't feel so great anymore. And that's exactly where they want you. And the psychology behind all of this is usually these people usually see qualities in somebody else that they don't possess themselves. And it actually ignites something in them. It causes resentment and jealousy. So they will actually take all the things about you that are beautiful and wonderful, and they will destroy them to try to make you feel how they're feeling on the inside. And that's really what's going on here. It's not that you're not worth enough to have a healthy person. It's quite the opposite. You are worth enough and you do deserve better. But that's kind of how we fall in the hands of takers, and that's how we stay with them. And, you know, it's all a process for them. So I wanted to put this video out there for people who, you know, are in these relationships, people who are having confidence issues and self-esteem issues, and let you know that, you know, it's not something that you're doing wrong. You're doing everything right for the wrong person. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that, you know, it will raise awareness for people going through this so that you can educate yourself and understand what's going wrong. And, you know, that will help you be able to make an exit from this terrible cycle. So, you know, my philosophy is always knowledge is power. You know, awareness brings so much more clarity, and sometimes we might need to hear it from somebody on YouTube because, you know, we're an unbiased party. We're able to look at the situation for what it is because we have no emotional investment in the relationship. So, you know, educate yourself, understand what's going on, and get some clarity, and you'll be surprised how much easier it will be for you to set boundaries going forward, and how much easier it will be for you to walk away once you actually understand what's happening to you and what's happening in the dynamic of the relationship. And hopefully, you know, when you leave and you do the work, you won't fall into the hands of another taker. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and as always, be well.